This is Mike Hattery. I'm hosting another Everybody Hates Cleveland podcast. I'm here today with Snarky Nino, who is indeed snarky, as his title would note. Also with a Everybody Hates Cleveland honorary member, Danny Madden, also from Did the Tribe Win Last Night. We're sort of the irritating Twitterati that you will notice on Twitter whenever someone publishes something ridiculous. But I want to really get to the sort of heart of the matter. The Indians missed out really big this offseason by not signing Austin Jackson. This is a correct assertion, yes?
Absolutely.
Is 100% accurate.
Debilitating. I do want to talk a little bit retrospectively about this offseason, I suppose, but let's talk about sort of what a marginal upgrade would look like for this outfield. Would Austin Jackson be worth $7 million more in production over Tyler Naquin?
I don't think so. I think that even if Naquin has a below average bat, he's still not like that many wins less than what Austin Jackson's going to provide, just because of defense alone.
Because Austin Jackson is also a below league average bat. But Nino is face palming, so he has things he needs to say.
I just, if you wanted to throw money away, why didn't you just hold on to Michael Bourne and just, you were already going to pay him. I mean, in effect, they're paying Chris Johnson, so you're already throwing money down. Why don't you just it just doesn't make any sense to me. I understand, looking at what he did last year in the past few years and thinking that he is an upgrade over whatever you had, but why not? It just baffles me because, yeah, you don't know what Naquin's going to do at this level, but at least give him a shot. At least see what you have there. See what he brings to the table, what kind of production he can do, because you're not paying him anything. I mean, you're already paying money to somebody that is not on this team. So spending the 6, 7, 8, whatever it would have taken to get Austin Jackson there is you're just throwing more money into the same production level that you're going to get anyway. So why? Again, just you might as well have just not traded Michael Bourne and thrown him out there with a pair of dirty socks and just say, go, do it, do whatever you want. You can't get any worse than this.
So I kind of wonder too. I mean, Jackson's a guy who was literally a fourth outfielder last year in Chicago. That was his role, and the sort of knock on Naquin is, well, we can't tell if he's a starter or a fourth outfielder. Well, I mean, I kind of know what Austin Jackson is at this point, and I guess the argument is sort of a depth one, but I'm harping on this way, way, way too much. So we're going to do a weird preview thing. We're all going to Wednesday's game as of now, as of my knowledge of this, and we will be consuming lots of different foods of use. And we'll be warmer than the people who will be there on Monday because weather and stuff. So I guess we can preview a Carrasco-Buchholz matchup. How excited are you guys for a little Carrasco-Buchholz action?
I think Buchholz is so overrated. It's ridiculous. He for some reason is consistently rated to be a at least average pitcher, and he always ends up being a well below average pitcher. So I'm really excited to see Carrasco and then see how our guys face against the first righty of the season. Because we've been focusing a lot on lefties, and so we got a lot of right-handed bats. And I'm really interested to see now how we're going to be against right-handed pitching while we're missing Michael Brantley and I guess Lonnie Chisenhall as well.
The Indians lineup is going to do to Clay Buchholz what Danny's dog just did to that pillow in the background. Pick it up by its mouth, and just shake it all over the place.
I'm
I
glad
don't
that's
know.
what happened. I was worried about other things.
I tell you what, yeah, I think Clay Buckles is somebody who's been up and down. I mean, you have him putting in a good year, but then comes back like just from start to start. Um, but he's somebody that, like Danny said, they can really take advantage of. I think he's there too. Oh boy, um, this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun year. Just seeing the matchups. I mean, you have somebody like Corey Kluber going up against David Price in the first game, and then we get to see Carlos Carrasco, who would absolutely be the best pitcher on a good majority of the teams, basically Clay Buckles. So I feel good about this matchup. I think it's going to be a good game. Slightly warmer temperatures. Maybe we'll hit some hashtag home runs to satisfy a couple beat writers, and everything will be good. Everything will be good on Wednesday, regardless of what happens on Monday.
And are we going to see J-Ram at third base then on Wednesday then? Because that's going to be fun.
That would make sense. I guess I kind of wanted to highlight this series because it just really denotes the Indians' advantage for the whole season. I mean, we're facing one of the 5 biggest markets in baseball, and the first start, I mean, it's Price and Kluber. I mean, it's a coin flip. And then the next 2 starts you have Carrasco, who's clearly the better pitcher, and Salazar versus Kelly, where you have a huge advantage in that. And I think this is sort of like a tale of what the season's going to look at, where we're saying, time after time, we have the best starting pitcher in every game, and that's a huge advantage. And I'm really excited to watch that. I mean, I don't know, Carrasco versus Buchholz is a pretty large gap, especially depending on which Buchholz you see. And Salazar Kelly is a huge one. I don't know. The early season has me excited in that, I just love seeing this rotation matchup against a team like the Red Sox, where they spent $210 million on their starting rotation, and we're going to have the starting rotation advantage 2 out of 3 days and a coin flip the third one. So I don't know. I'm all turned up. All right. Let's gamble a little, because we all need to gamble more in life. So let's do some over-unders. So I'm gonna set the over-under of Santana's home run total at 20, and you guys can tell me over-under.
I think over. I think that he has a little bit better protection, or he's going to be protecting Napoli, I suppose. But I just think that he's going to see better pitches this season, just because of the way the lineup is constructed. Because you don't want to you don't want a chance putting him on base when you're going to have a healthy Gomes batting behind him. So I think he has a chance to actually have more of a offensively productive season, and he's healthy, since apparently he was unhealthy last year, and it just wasn't being told until this offseason.
I will go under. That doesn't mean I think he will have a bad year. I just think he will have a different kind of good year, and he's going to have a year that annoys a lot of people, because it's not going to be what they expect him to do, but it's still going to be productive. But I don't think he hits over 20 home runs. It's just a gut feeling.
In a perhaps more important question, I want to set an over-under of Jose Ramirez bat flips at 4. What do you guys got?
Over. Way over.
Yeah.
Way over.
Every Minnesota Twins game, I want to see a bat flip.
I love taking the over on these sorts of things, but so a good Jose Ramirez is one of the most fun things to watch. And I don't think people understand this. When Frankie, when Lindor and Jose are both clicking offensively and defensively, this team is just so fun to watch. They have swagger. Ramirez is that guy that I'd really hate if he was on another roster, because he's kind of annoying. He's super pompous looking. He's just got all that, and I love it. I love it. It's so much fun. He's like Swisher, but not a tool, which is really nice.
I have one. I have one.
Okay.
Okay. Over under, and I'm trying to do some quick math here. Okay. So with an average that I'm working with at my head, over under number of at Snarky Hatman tweets that mention Jose Ramirez, 200 in
Over.
in one season.
Yeah, that's an easy over. That's like the easiest over ever. Oh my gosh. I haven't realized that I'm like the worst Twitter account on Tribe Twitter. Like I just cause so much garbage that's derived from my account. Jose Ramirez love, sources love, or it's gonna be trouble this year. Cooler heads need to prevail with my Twitter account, and I don't have
No,
a
they
cooler
don't.
head.
You do
Um,
you.
Yeah. Okay. So we have another sort of important over under, which is actually no. I want to ask you guys who's going to lead the Indians in strikeouts. Which starting pitcher?
That's a hard one
So-
because you want to say like Kluber because he's done it in the past, but I don't think that that's going to be the case this year. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Danny Salazar was the leader. Just wouldn't be surprised.
I'm gonna copy you. I'm gonna go with Salazar.
Gosh, I was supposed to be the high guy on Salazar, so this is no fun for me. Just being the third to the party, that's like the worst. I don't want to be the third to the party. Um,
Pick Bauer.
God,
From the bullpen.
poor Trevor. I mourn for Trevor. He'll be back in the rotation in like 2 weeks, and it won't matter. So, whatever. But I guess the next question is how many times Nino is going to troll Kevin Dast or whatever the hell his name is this year, this summer. How many times will Kevin Dast be quote tweeted by Nino Cola? And I have the over under at about 15. What do you think, Nino?
Oh, well, here's the problem. He blocked me, so unless I'm on
Gosh.
unless I'm on like TweetDeck, I don't see anything that comes up. So if you're out there and you follow him, you need to make sure to like retweet and include me in it so that I can see what he's saying. And I don't know if he could still see what I say to him in his quote tweets, but um, if everyone out there does a good job in getting me the info, that's going to be a way over on that one. If not, we're going to hit the under. So I don't know.
Danny, what's the name of your dog that I keep seeing on this podcast?
Her name is Luna. She really wants to be on the podcast right now, I guess.
Luna? Is
It
she
is
named
Luna.
after Hector Luna or something else?
Luna.
Honestly, we just like the name, but then we thought about Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter, and we like her a lot. So, and she obviously is a big Tribe fan. She keeps shaking the brown side of this pillow. She likes
Ooh,
to
it's
eat.
double. It's a nice pillow. Unfortunately, this is not as visual of a podcast as usual, but like,
Not
it's
really. I'm gonna
well
turn my
crafted.
camera off. Get her out of the 15 seconds of fame.
She's very popular. Luna, I didn't know you were a Harry Potter fan. I feel once again like an outlier. But so back to this Indian season. What are you guys most excited about? I mean, we love to go to the park, and we just do this all kind of for fun. Like, what excites you about this season?
For me, it's watching the defense. I really harped on this offseason about how great the defense is going to be, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how awesome it actually is. Especially after seeing a couple games with Uribe at third. We saw a lot of Urshela, and he's really great at third. But I'm really excited to see how Uribe handles the position because he's been so talked about, and I'm excited to see how Naquin does in center, like defensively wise. I've seen the arm in Akron, but I'm really excited to see the arm in Cleveland.
I'm just glad the season is starting, and at this time every year, and then we can just stop going on about stuff that doesn't matter in spring training and overanalyzing this and overanalyzing that and thinking about how good something can be and actually seeing it play out on the field. If you want to get more specific, I think like anyone else, you have to have no pulse if you can't wait to see this rotation in action and just see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row and going out there every night and getting someone on the mound that you know can throw an awesome start out there. Just go into the park and saying, all right, I know Carrasco's on the mound. I might good chances are good. I'm going to see a good game, a well pitched game, an Indians win because the odds are in our favor in terms of who's going out there on the mound. And just kind of with that, someone in this staff, I know you've said it before, Mike, someone is going to throw a no-hitter or a perfect game in this rotation. This year, I feel like it's got to be this year with the amount of talent that's there and just kind of that anticipation and seeing which one does it. What night is going to be magical and hopefully, you're there for that. Just so much excites me about this team. I'm just glad that it's finally here and we can stop going on about spring training and how performance in spring training correlates to the season and how if we suck in the preseason, maybe we'll be good, and how many home runs somebody is hitting on a certain day or throughout spring training, or who's in the outfield today, how tall they are, and all that garbage, and just play the damn game and figure out what this team is actually made of.
I was really excited, and then Paul Hoynes said the Indians were going to finish third in the Central, and I was like, geez, I don't even need to watch this year, so I don't know what to say. So
he's a smart man. He's a legend.
Hashtag the legend. Yeah, so I love that, Nina. I really think I think 10 times last year you look at your phone or you get an ESPN update and it's some Indian starter with a no-hitter or a perfect game going into like the 6th inning. And I really think it happens this year. This rotation's so fun, and Danny touched on it too, and just sort of like a weird thing to hunt for or expect out of a season. But when you have an above-average defense and 3 guys who strike out tons of dudes, I think you're going to see a no-hitter pop up from one of those guys. Now, probably it'll end up be Tomlin, and he'll have like 1 strikeout and 26 hard-hit balls, and it'll be the least he's ever seen. Now that
I was thinking that with Anderson would have a good chance of doing it just because of how many ground balls he induces. But now, with his velocity uptick, like if he can get strikeouts and ground balls, it's a pretty valuable asset there.
It's pretty hot. But no, so I don't know. I think this rotation's so fun, and I think buying tickets is so fun. You're like, I don't know. There's something about this rotation where you're like, oh, 3 out of every 5 like nights, you're like, oh, I get to go watch one of the 25 best pitchers in baseball or one of the 10 best pitchers in baseball. I get to go do that for like $10. I mean, that's just so much fun, and I sort of hope people realize how special this rotation is before it disappears as it will into the dawn. But I guess we're all sort of optimistic about this Indians team. Why shouldn't we be optimistic?
Injuries.
Yeah.
Michael Brantley's hurt. Bullpens suck. Things that just happen over the course of a year to any baseball team, I think, is enough reason to worry. Bunting. Those are the things that worry me. I think realistically, not being an idiot or a jerk, I think there is worry in terms of how the outfield is made up without Brantley, and even with Brantley, do those pieces that plug in do they work? Is if Lonnie Chisenhall comes back, and is he going to be the same person he was defensively in the outfield? And will he play up to what he can offensively if they use him right? I mean, there are some realistic things, especially with that outfield, but and they are lottery tickets for a reason. But with that bullpen, Brian Shaw, I think all of us kind of feel the same way. He's a little bit of a worrisome person there, and if he can't get the job done, and a lot of the people that they brought in that they are going to try, what if they don't work out? Then you've just got one guy in Cody Allen back there, and he gets overused. So those are some of the things that I think are realistic in terms of a concern for this team.
I think our offensive depth is a little worrisome, just because I don't think we really have that many bats that are in Columbus that could pop up, and even if they were just coming to sit on the bench and one of our bench guys was becoming a starter for a certain amount of time at any of the positions, I think we're lacking a lot there. So it just goes back to injuries, and like Nina said, I think the bullpen is extremely worrisome. Who knows? Trevor Bauer may become the best setup man in baseball during his time in the bullpen, but I mean, it's still a waste of an asset. But I just don't think that our bullpen is the most strong thing that we have right now, and it's a little scary at that point. But all of our pitchers are going to go into the eighth inning, and then we'll just have Cody Allen every night, so I guess it'll be fine.
Yeah, no worries. I guess the injuries thing is like, I think a lot of teams look for flaws, and the outfield's the one that's sort of glaring, but I think this team is actually kind of weirdly deep, especially when you look at the rest of the Central. You look at Detroit, and everybody's like, man, the Indians really couldn't survive an injury to Kluber or one of these guys, or like Kipnis or Gomes, and it's like, yeah, no crap. Can Detroit sustain like Miguel Cabrera playing 100 games? No, they won 73 games last year doing that. I mean, can Kansas City cover? I don't know. I don't even know who's great. Lorenzo Cain going down, they probably can't. And can Chicago handle like anyone getting injured for a week? No, they can't. They're stupid thin. If Abreu or Sale gets hurt, their season's over. So I don't know. I think the injuries thing is the one thing that's really frustrating about baseball in terms of, I think the Indians have sort of the best laid plans, the best roster. And just year after year, it's kind of like, who's going to stay healthy? And we saw last year with that Gomes injury that was crippling. I don't know, but I love this. I love this roster. How soon? I don't know. Are we going to see Zimmer this year?
I think it's possible in September. I don't see, unless he really is struggling at Akron, like really struggling at Akron, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him in September.
I have no clue. Don't ask me. I mean, sure. I'm not it was kind of with Lindor last year. It's like, okay, when is this guy going to get here? He's ready. We have this bait, I just think that if this team is winning and doing well, and he's playing well, and maybe he's just kind of that last piece to fit him in, then I think you could see him, provided that he's in a space where they can do that, sure. But just let it play out. I think we all knew that it was time for Lindor when he came up, whether that was earlier than it should have been or later than it should have been, or right at the. It's just, I think you have to go based off the situation, and if he's ready, good. If you have a need for him, good. If either of those two are not in place, then he stays and he's not on this team.
I have another important over-under. Over-under how many Thirsty Thursdays we spend in Akron this summer. 5. Setting the number at 5.
I'll be there a lot, so I'm gonna say over.
How many are there? That's the question.
That's the important question. So that's my fault. I'm just a poor researcher. I should have had that data available.
I did 6 Akron Rubber Ducks games last year, and I think 4 of them were on a Thursday. 5 maybe, if I remember correctly. So
Yeah, I don't even know how many games
I'll
I went
take
to
the
last
over.
year. It was a lot.
Do you think we've become do you think we've just started talking teams to death? Like, we've covered this team pretty closely. Spring training was just a morass of 2 blog posts a day by different sites covering, whether Naquin had 2 hits, analyzing those 2 hits in a single sample. Has the blogosphere begun to sort of overcover teams in a way that makes sorting through this sort of massive information a pain?
I think it depends on what you're looking at, because there are some sites that don't get extremely creative with their stuff, and they will just literally post anything that the Indians post and just repost it with a little bit of analytics to it. Or you have sites like this site, or like Did the Tribe Win Last Time, where we're actually writing actual pieces and analyzing actual things, and then it's actually fun to read and kind of see how that might play out in the future. So I don't think it's overanalyzing. I just think of it's time. It's just us killing time and finding something fun to talk about until we have actual things to talk about.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's just at some point there's only so many slideshows on the number of outfielders that this team has in camp, or how many home runs and who's hitting the home runs, and just here's the batting average, on base percentage, slugging slash line of all the people that are on a non-roster invitee contract. And it just, at some point, it's just all right, whatever. No one cares. And you see something happen, and 10 different people tweet it out. 5 of them are actually media people. The other 3 of them are people in their basement, and then 2 other ones are just the spam bots that pick it up from someone else. It's just a lot, and there's a lot of it, and kind of like you and I were talking about a few weeks ago, Hattie. It's just at some point you have to wade through some of it and find the really good stuff, and it's out there, and you got to look for it. But it's out there, and that's what you have to try and consume. That's kind of what I do at this point. Try and wade through some of the crap and find the stuff that's really good, and read that and follow those people, and the rest can just, I don't know, be lit on fire and thrown in the backyard.
So I actually have an idea. I think so much of sort of blogging now and what we do just in terms of having fun watching this team is we just spend time on Twitter, probably too much time, probably an unhealthy amount of time on Twitter, but nonetheless, time on Twitter. So for this Indian season, we'll just spend a couple of minutes laying out some good Twitter etiquette and things that bother us on Twitter that need to be better for Indians Twitter 2016. We're really trying to help you, Tribe Twitter. So what are some things that just need to go from Tribe Twitter in 2016?
I think instant reactions to something that happened, like when people freak out about someone striking out with the bases loaded and thinking that that's the end of our season. The kind of reaction happens all the time.
No more. That's definitely. I concur with that one. No more of this. I don't even know how to say it. Just angers me. Just this continual rundown of kind of like what you were saying, Dan. Just something happens, and then everyone's just like, stop that. Just watch the game, okay? Sometimes I'm a jerk, and I'll just be like, someone will strike out, I'll be like, cool. Like, all right, that was stupid. But still, people like with every single play are reacting, and at the end of the day, no one cares what your reaction is. No one cares. He struck out. He hit a home run. Just stop. Unless you got something good to say or something funny, save it.
Yeah, so here's the thing. The home opener, and I want to say this before the home opener, you're going to have 35,000 people there, and that's awesome. That's great. And what those are about are these sort of communal moments where everybody in the park is sort of connected to something that's new, that's different. You know, there's a connection to baseball that's different when you're there and it's packed. And it's awesome. It's outstanding. And so it's going to drive me crazy tomorrow whenever something happens of note, 40 people I know that are going to be there are going to be tweeting about it. And while these people have a lot of really insightful things to say, and while there are insightful things to say, during a game, the amount of just sort of like quick takes, just if we could sort of curtail that and just like soak it in. I mean, baseball is just, it's an opera. It's a drama. Just go there, hang out, spend time with your friends, soak it in. You don't need to tweet about a home run. You don't need to overreact or insta-react. Just chill. Anyway.
I've got two that I just thought of.
Good. Bring them up.
Please do not retweet that account, that SportsCenter in Cleveland account, on my timeline.
Hashtag mustard theory.
I don't want any of that. I also would appreciate no more encouragement of hashtag cue the Sabres, because that's annoying, and the person responsible for it is also annoying. So none of that.
I would say those are great rules, which we will add to the list. I have two other Twitter rules, which I would like to suggest. First, stop saying per somebody when you're trying to report news when you're a microblogger. Just retweet them, okay? They broke the news. Give them the retweet. It's not per them. You're not sourcing them. You didn't just call them on the phone and say, hey, Ken Rosenthal, did this happen? Just freaking retweet it, okay? It's not that hard. It's easier to do. You click one button. You're not a newsbreaker, you jacko. Second of all.
It's the ESPN theory. It's the ESPN way of sources, and ESPN sources say, no, sources, and ESPN is ripping the sources from them.
So stop doing that, people. It's driving me crazy. It's driving me crazy.
I have one. I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
So say we have a position of lack of depth. Can we stop proposing that someone who has never played a position before could just all of a sudden play that position next year and we will be just okay? Can we stop saying that Michael Brantley is going to play first base next year? Can we stop saying that Michael Martinez could be a starting player on this roster because he could play every position? It just goes back to why was Mike Aviles put in center field? He never knew how to play the position. So let's just stop proposing that all these players can just switch positions on the fly and we're going to be okay.
Another Twitter rule. DMing minor league players who don't know that you're not a part of the organization is not a good way to get information and is actually deceptive. Don't do that. It's not cool. None of us are cool with it.
No selfies.
No Tribe Twitter selfies. Or on Instagram. Strict Tribe Instagram rules. You cannot repost a bunch of selfie Instagram pics unless it's like Nino, Danny, and I because we're super sexy. Which case you can.
And Jeff Nomina, he can take selfies too because he's a former TV star.
That's
Celebrity.
fair. That's fair.
Like, hey, look, I got this selfie with this celebrity, local celebrity. That's fine.
And if you see Mike Polk, don't take a selfie with him because he's really not that funny. Just important. Other important things from me. Any other Twitter rules?
Hmm.
I would say the following. If you want to hear something insightful, I'm going to create some Twitter rules for you. Don't follow Nick Camino, Jensen Lewis, or Chris Assenheimer. Just quick, off the cuff.
Excuse me, it's Ossenheimer.
It's Ossenheimer? It's
No.
Assenhat?
It's spelled Assenheimer, but it's pronounced Ossenheimer.
Okay. Well, we'll edit that out. We'll redact that. No, we won't.
Never.
Never.
Especially
Twitter-
because Jensen Lewis is not a analyst. He's just a guy that played a little bit of baseball and now thinks he can discuss the sabermetrics of baseball. And can we stop posting stats about pitchers and how they faced the team back in 2011 or whatever and say that it still matters? Because it doesn't. It doesn't matter. That's the most annoying stat that people post is when a pitcher from like 2011 to now has a 2.0 ERA facing a completely different team. Yes, it has the same team name, but it is not the same team, and it doesn't matter.
Hey man, dominating Jason Donald and Jose Lopez that was hard. Like,
it was
don't
hard.
don't take away from that. Like, that's a good sample if you want to draw conclusions. That's a really good sample.
You're right. You're right.
You know,
it's really important.
Especially, I'm disappointed you didn't slip in the second Hector Luna reference there, though.
That's true. I really missed that one.
You know, when Lou Marson was our starting catcher for a while, we were really good then. So obviously that ERA matters.
Also, like, it's 3 starts. Like, drawing conclusions from 3 starts, it would be like asking someone to draw conclusions from, like, Anderson's first 3 starts last year about his entire big league career is going to be. Like, these are the sort of conclusions that we're asking you to draw off of, like, 3 and 4 start samples. That's really dumb. Don't be dumb. Don't be Jensen Lewis.
That could be a hashtag. That could be something we could go on, like, all season long.
I'm fine with that. I really am. He hasn't blocked. I mean, he's not a blocker, which I'm proud of. I respect that.
Yeah.
Respect that.
He takes his mediocrity in stride.
He does. He does. Any other Twitter rules of importance?
I'd like to propose that we have the supreme authority to make amendments to these rules as the season goes on.
Certainly. I think we'll probably roll a post out about Twitter rules for this season. Another important Twitter rule, don't add a player because you're really pissed at him. Like, that just isn't necessary. Don't yell rude things at a player who has a family and stuff. Just
Can we go back to the over-unders real quick?
don't be a jerk.
Do an over-under of how many times Jason Kipnis is going to yell at people on Twitter?
I would say
let's start it at like 5. 5
Okay,
times throughout
5.
the season.
I'd say that's a push, but I mean, I that'll happen. That'll happen a lot.
Stop tweeting at Jason Kipnis in general. How about that? The guy's allowed to say things. He's got a mouth. He's got freedom of speech. You can stop. Just stop. If you see Jason, here's just a rule of thumb for you. If you see a Jason Kipnis tweet and your initial reaction is to say something at him that is not what a intelligent and normal, rational human being would be, just delete your Twitter account and go pick up a new hobby like stamp collecting or cleaning off bobbleheads or something that doesn't hurt people or make them less intelligent than you.
Also, people don't tweet at Trevor Bauer. He's going to own you anyway, and it's really just not worth your time. So
I don't know. Me and Trevor Bauer, we're pretty tight.
Okay, you can tweet engineering concepts at Trevor Bauer, but that's it. That's the moratorium. Like no,
Can
nothing
we?
other than engineering concepts.
I would actually like to encourage people to do that because I love reading Trevor's responses.
He's just a
That's
fantastic
fair.
human being, and he's fun. He's fun to see how like it's fun to see how he reacts to people because he's so much smarter than most of the people that use the internet that it's just fun to see how he reacts to stupid things that people say.
I have an opening day Twitter rule. If you're there, we know it's cold. It's Ohio. I drove through a snowstorm at the beginning of April last night. Do not complain about the weather. You chose to go to opening day. End of story.
These are good rules. These are good rules. You got some more, Danny? We need some more from you.
I made it off the top of my head. The big one was the Jensen Lewis being an idiot and talking about whatever the pitchers versus teams from 2010. I'll
Yeah.
try to think of something before this podcast is over.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on you, Danny. I need more. I need more. I need more. Um,
Oh, here we go. Got one. Can we stop asking for Clint Frazier to be in Cleveland tomorrow? Because he's not going to be in Cleveland until probably sometime next year, or just any prospect for that matter. They'll be here when they'll be here. We don't need to, if we lose like 5 games in a row, let's not ask for them to promote Bradley Zimmer and Clint Frazier. They're not ready yet. Let's just
Hey,
not
is
do that.
Brady Aiken coming up tomorrow?
You know what? I think our top draft pick of this draft should be in Cleveland today. Whoever it
all
is,
of these.
he should be in Cleveland.
Also, no more Jesus Aguilar promotion tweets. I don't care. I really hope that he gets cut from the 40-man today. So I don't want to hear about Jesus Aguilar. His 15 to 20 home run seasons don't matter. He's really bad. Stop it.
Oh yeah, they
Stop
got to
it.
make those cuts today. I totally forgot about that.
I know we should have waited to do hot takes until after this, because if Gil DeWalters gets cut, if Zachy Thunderstick gets cut today, we could have had some much more insightful and perhaps philosophical discussions of the Indians roster. That's another bag. I have a couple more Indians Twitter rules. Hot takes are like, I don't know. It's not just the Dolan's cheap thing. That's fine. Like that's just a different subset that I'm not around. But the sort of like constant Dolan whining thing, it's like be a fan or don't be a fan of this team, and if you're frustrated with ownership, do that. But I don't know, the sort of dumping blood in the water every day, I don't have any interest in. I don't really want to hear the Chief Wahoo discussion much more. It's just not something that I want to do. Those are things that we could get off Twitter and be happy about. I think the right-handed bat thing is almost something that we as the sort of like anti-Twitter have like retained more than actual people. Like I think the sort of like the fallacy of the right-handed bat we run out there more than the right-handed bat people do anymore, which I think is kind of funny.
Can we talk about real quick why all of a sudden people are freaking out about the fact that Chief Wahoo is not the main logo of the Indians anymore? Hasn't this been a thing for a couple years now? Hasn't the Block C been the main logo for a couple years?
If you haven't watched a game in the last 2 years, I could see how you could make that mistake. That's all I have.
People are getting so upset that Chief Wahoo is not the main logo, and he has been pretty much kicked out of the park for the most part for the last couple of years, and it's been pretty much all Block C.
Let's have an important uniform discussion. Like, do you guys like the Block C? I think it's pretty cool. I love the Block C.
Me too.
I think it's pretty classy-ish. I think that they can make a better logo, but, I like the Block C. I'm all right with it.
So the cool thing about the Block C is that's a hat that I could wear anywhere, right? Like I love that hat in that it's something that's like hip. Like I can go to a cool bar that serves like 200 microbrews, and I can wear that hat there. Like it's just relaxed. It's nothing overt. It's classic. It's classy. It has a little something to it. It's a substantive hat. And I just don't. I really like it. I'm a big fan. It's better than the eye.
So you can also do different colors with it. I have a black and white one, which I think, like if you were to do a black and white Chief Wahoo, look a little strange. So I'm a fan of the Black Sea as well. I have several versions of just the Indians Black Sea with different colors myself. So I'm a fan of the Black Sea in general. I also like it better than the eye. Script eye kind of looks like a J sometimes to some people.
If you guys were to rename the team and rebrand it, what would you go with?
I think the obvious one, I really liked the logo for the Cleveland Spiders. I know the name is somewhat silly, and they were really bad when they were the Spiders, but I would be okay with going back to that just because then people can stop saying that we're racist.
I would go with the Cleveland Crunch to homage to the indoor soccer team of yesteryear.
The Cleveland Crunch. What does that even mean? What were the Crunch? Were they like Captain Crunch? Or
Like a Crunch bar.
Yeah, like Nestle's Crunch.
Did they become the Force after that?
They might have.
I think they did. Then we could have Star Wars nights.
Yes. Yeah, they were. Oh, I'm sorry. They were a Major League Soccer team. They weren't. They were not indoor. Oh no, they were indoor. I don't know. It doesn't matter. They were a soccer team.
All right. Well, unless we can think of a few more Twitter rules, which are ever important. Ever important.
Can we stop asking the Indians Twitter account to do things for us that in regards to like the roster or the weather, because it's just dumb. It's just a stupid thing to do. And you're gonna get snarky remarks back from them, so it's not really worth your time.
Yeah, breaking news flash, real change in the world does not happen when you comment angrily on social media. Like just like when you comment on an article on the Cleveland Plain Dealer about a politician, when you comment on when you go at Indians Twitter, nothing is happening. There's nothing happening there. Anyway, all right. With that delightful insight and all of your Twitter rules, which will be expanded and reduced in different forms and ways throughout the Major League Baseball season, this has been Mike Hattery, Nino Cola, and Danny Madden. Thanks for joining us.